Okay, so Module 10 Homework 1 is going to be Systems of Equations word problems. And the homework itself is only, I think it's 10 to 12 questions. So here, how many is it? 10 questions. So here I've got 5 questions, just kind of going over the similar types of questions you're going to see on your homework assignment. So this first one, this is always that tricky one with the, we're going with the wind and then we're going against the wind kind of thing. So let's take a look at how you set this up. So you have an airplane takes 3 hours to travel a distance of 1,800 miles with the wind. The return trips takes 4 hours against the wind. Find the speed of the plane in still air and find the speed of the wind. Okay, so the distance is 1,800 miles. So, and then we have our speeds. So what we want to do here to set this up, so you have the speed of the plane in still air. So that's just how fast is the plane going. That's going to be x. Okay, so this is going to be speed in still air. Okay, but then what's going to affect it is the speed of the wind. So we're going to make that y. Now, if there was no wind whatsoever, I would get to my trip just 3 hours in 3 hours. Or however many miles away it was, depending on the speed. Okay? But there is the wind that affects it. So first, it takes 3 hours to travel a distance of 1,800 miles with the wind. So that means the wind is helping it, which means I have the speed in still air, and then I'm going faster with the wind. So that's plus, going faster. And then that's going to be, now, that's been happening all day. Okay, so now that is going to be what we're equaling. You have 3 hours to travel 1,800 miles. So we want that miles per hour. So we're going to go 1,800 divided by 3. That's going to be 600. Okay, then the return trip takes 4 hours against the wind. It's still the same distance, so it's still 1,800 miles. So, but this time, instead of working with the wind is making us slow down, so it's subtracting from our miles per hour. So then this is going to be 1,800 divided by 4 hours. So 450. So now we have a system of equations. So we have x plus y equals 600 and x minus y equals 450. Then we're going to solve. So we can solve either substitution or elimination. My recommendation is elimination. Because if I just add these together, I have x plus x, I get 2x. Y's are going to cancel. 600 plus 450 is going to give me 1,050. And then I can quickly solve for x. So that's going to give me 525. So the plane is traveling 525 miles per hour. And the wind is either pushing the plane forward or pushing the plane backwards at a speed of, and then we'll find y. So we have x plus y equals 600. So if we do 525 plus y equals 600 and subtract 525 from both sides, you're going to get y equals 75. So the wind, that's actually really high wind to be flying a plane in. But the wind is 75 miles per hour. So that's how you set that type of problem up. So you got the x plus y, x minus y. Just make sure there, if you're given a time and a distance, find that miles per hour. Oh, and this one is always a little tricky too. Next one. So, 2% butter, fat milk. All right. Okay. So, what we have here is how many quarts of 4% butterfat milk and 1% butterfat milk should be mixed to yield 60 quarts of 2% butterfat milk. So if you want to think about it like this, like I've got whole milk, I've got 1% milk, I can make 2% milk out of that. I just have to dilute the whole milk a little bit, right? So you can't make the whole milk thicker, you can't make the 1%, well, you could make the 1% thicker, but you want to dilute the whole milk to get it to 2%. So how many quarts is what we're asking. So the first equation is your how many, and then your second equation is going to be like your multiplier. Okay, so your how many is the how many quarts. So I have some amount of X quarts plus some amount of Y quarts, and I'm going to have a total of 60 quarts total. So the first one's simple, just X plus Y, and then how many total. The second one is your multiplier, so the multiplier is going to be these. So we're going to do the whole milk is X. So whole milk is 4%, so 0.04 of how many quarts of whole milk that I'm going to find. And then 1% will be our Y. So then we'll have plus some amount of skim milk, so the 1% milk. And then here, 60 quarts of 2% milk. So this would be 60 times 2%. Okay, so because we're doing the how many. So 60 times 0.02 is going to be 1.2. Okay, now this one, you could do elimination, but this one probably would serve you better to do substitution. So let's say we do substitution here, and we solve for X. So we subtract Y over here. I don't know why I wrote a 6. 60 minus Y. So we get X equals 60 minus Y. We plug that in for X right here. So these Y's are gone. This goes right there. Okay, so we get the equation 0.04 times 60 minus Y plus 0.01 Y equals 1.2. And then we go through and solve this. So 0.04 times 60 is going to give us 2.4. 0.04 times negative Y will give us negative 0.04 Y plus 0.01 Y equals 1.2. And then we'll go through and solve this. So we'll subtract 2.4 from both sides, which that should just be a negative 1.2. And then here we can combine negative 0.04 plus 0.01, so that should be a negative 0.03. And then we'll divide by negative 0.03. So negative 1.2 divided by negative 0.03 is going to give us 40. So we have 40 quarts of 1%. And if I have a total amount of 60 quarts, then I'm going to have 20 quarts of 4%. Okay, so when you have these with the mixing, okay, you're going to have one that's just a straight X plus Y equals the amount. Then when you get the multiplier amounts, that's when you're going to have your second equation. I think those two are the hardest two to set up in this homework, just those types. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay. So then number 3, a woman bought some large frames for $13 and some small frames for $7 at a closeout sale. If she bought 28 frames for $250, how many of each type did she buy? So this is the same setup as the previous one that we did. So you're going to have your amount equation, which is I brought small and large frames. So I could even just do this, large plus small, and I bought a total of 28 of those. Okay, then you have your multiplier where we get into the details. So we have the large frames were $13 each. So I had $13 times however many large frames. And the small frames were $7 each, so 7 times however many small frames. And I know exactly how much I spent, which was $250. So this one I don't need to do any manipulation to. I know that I spent $250. Okay, so the multiplier is just how much I spent depending on how many of the frames. And these, some of these you could just do guess and check because you know that's going to add up to 28. Or you can do substitution or elimination. That's kind of up to you. What I mean by guess and check is this. Let's say it was split 14 and 14. You just plug that in and see if it works, right? So 14 plus 14 equals 28. Oops. Gotta get my calculator, hold on. Or even if I'm doing a multiple choice test, take the options and plug those in. Let me move this over here. Okay, so 13 frames, or $13 times 14 plus 7 times 14. That's 280. So that's too much. So then you just kind of change it. All right, well maybe it's 12 large frames, and then that would mean I'd have to get 16 small frames because they still have to add up to 28. All right, let's see if that works. 12 frames at $13 plus 16 frames at $7. Not quite. So that's what I mean by guess and check. You can keep changing the numbers and just plugging it in your calculator like that. That works. Or we can go through and let's do substitution for this one. So let's say we go subtract the S. So we get the large frames equal 28 minus S. So we go 13 times 28 minus S plus 7S equals 250. Then we say 13 times 28 is going to be 364 minus 13S plus 7S equals 250. Take the 364 and subtract it from both sides. 250 minus 364 gives us negative 114. Negative 13S plus 7S will give us a negative 6S. And then divide by negative 6. So we got 19 small frames. Which means if I go down here and I say 19 small, how many large would that then be? 9, yeah. 28 minus 19 would be 9. So just a testing strategy on that. If it's a multiple choice question and you had 4 options, you could just go through the 4 options once you have that set up also with guess and check. Sometimes just depending on the time, because remember a lot of these tests are timed. So this one I would say would be more time efficient to do the guess and check method if you had 4 options sitting there, because it had to be one of the 4 options. Okay, then we have problems that are set up like this, where we have to turn the word riddle here into an equation. So you just kind of write it out as you see it. So you have one number is 5 less than a second number. And then 6 times the first is 3 times the second. Find the numbers. Okay, so you have one number. We're going to let that one number be x is, that's equals, so x equals, and then x equals 5 less than the second number, and I'm going to make the second number y. Okay, so x is 5 less than y. So how do I write 5 less than y? Is it 5 minus y or y minus 5? Think about it in terms of the numbers, right? So if x is 6, 5 less than a second number, would that second number be 11 or 1? If it's 5 less than that number. It would be 11, right? 6 isn't 5 less than 1. So, okay, we'll now replace that with x and y. So it's y minus 5. So if you have less than, that's after the number. Less than is after the number. Remember, the order will matter in subtraction. In addition, you could mess it up and it wouldn't matter, but it will matter in subtraction. So x is 5 less than the second number, so it has to be the number first, then minus if it says less than. Okay, so remember the first number is x and the second number is y. So then my second equation is 6 times the first is, there's your equal sign, 6 more than 3 times the second. So 6 times the first, that's 6 times x equals, is 6 more than 3 times the second. Now this is addition, so it doesn't matter if I do 6 plus 3y or if I do 3y plus 6. That wouldn't matter. Okay, with subtraction it would matter which order I write it. Find the numbers. So I have my two equations set up. I already have substitution ready to go because I have x equals y minus 5. So I'm going to plug that in for this x. So this is going to be 6 times y minus 5 equals 6 plus 3y. So 6 times y is 6y. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Equals 6 plus 3y. So let's get the y's on one side. I'm going to subtract 3y from both sides. And we'll get the numbers on the other side. I'll add the 30. Okay, the y's will cancel over here. The 30's will cancel here. 6y minus 3y will give me 3y. 6 plus 30 will give me 36. So I get y equals 12. So I get my second number is 12, and we know that one number is 5 less than the second number. So 5 less than 12 is what? 7. So x is going to be 7. Alright, and then the last one that we'll look at like this, we have a triangle. So the perimeter of a triangle is 94 centimeters. If two sides are equally long and the third side is 10 centimeters longer than the others, find the lengths of the three sides. This isn't a system. So this problem, let me see here. Looking at some of the problems here. Solution problem. I don't know if I put one of these on here, but we can do the problem. It's not that bad. Nope, I didn't. Anyway, this one you would just draw this out. So you got, the perimeter is adding the sides, right? So you got side 1, side 2, side 3, 94. All right, 2 of the sides are equally long. The third side is 10 centimeters longer than the other. You could draw this out, or you could do this. 2 of the sides are equally long. So let's make both of these the same. So we're just going to say x and x. Those are both x. And then the third side is 10 centimeters longer than the others. So the third side is 10 centimeters longer than x. X plus 10. That's it. So you could draw it out if you want, but you don't need to. You could just combine the x's there. So that's x plus x plus x, 3x plus 10 equals 94. And then we solve. So 3x equals 84. Divide by 3. We're going to get 28. Now that's not the answer, because we want each side, right? So that means side 1 is 28 centimeters. Side 2 is also 28 centimeters. And how long is side 3? 38 centimeters. Very good. So that's basically Module 10 Homework 1. It's just the word problems there. Now remember, on the test, there's just one problem like that. And it's multiple choice. So you can always plug those in and check. But you do have the 10 questions on your homework. And that should cover all of the types of questions that you have. Yeah, you've got a couple with the still in the air kind of thing, flying one way, things like that. Okay. Then we have Module 10, Homework 2. Graphing inequalities. Do you guys remember how to do that? Because I think you've been introduced to it before, or you should have been introduced to it before at some point in Algebra 1. But it's fairly... Yeah, I think you could have seen this in 8th grade, though, or like pre-algebra. This is only 8 questions on your homework. Okay, here's the first thing I want to look at is I actually want to show you a problem. So I'm actually, well, I'll just bring it over here, inside here. So when we are graphing an inequality, remember that, so if I'm looking at this inequality, y is greater than negative 2x minus 4. That means the y value, if I plug these values in, the y value is going to be greater than the x value. So it's not just going to be one solution, it's going to be a spectrum of solutions. So that's why we have this shading on this graph. So this is the problem for the graph. And basically everything in this shaded area, if I plug it into the problem, would work. So let's say I plugged 4, negative 3 in. 4 is my x value, negative 3 is my y value. I would have negative 3 is less than negative 2 times 4, which would be negative 8 minus 4. Negative 12, yeah. So that tells me that negative 3 is greater than negative 12. That's a true statement. If I plug 2, 3 in, okay, 3 is greater than negative 2 times 2, which is negative 4, minus 4, negative 8. So 3 is greater than negative 8. That's true. That works. If I plug negative 2 in, though, this number here, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, minus 4 is 0. So this says negative 2 is greater than 0. That's not true. Okay, so the shaded area just represents all of the numbers that are correct. That would work in the solution. So I could plug any point on this, in this shaded area in, all the way up here, or even like right next to the problem, and it would work. It would be true for the situation. The number on this shaded area, is that going to work? We can take a look at it. Let's see. So the x value is negative 3. So we've got negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. minus 4 is 2. So 2 is greater than 2. Is that true? No, 2 is equal to 2. So because it's not or equal to, it doesn't work if it's on the line. Okay, so for this one, the points that would work would just be the 2, 3, and the 4, negative 3, as you see there for the answer choice. The dotted line is going to represent the greater than or less than in the inequality. If it's a solid line, then it'll be or equal to. And then you can use points on the line. So, when I'm doing these problems, we're going to set the equation, or isolate y. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to take this x, we're going to subtract it, we're going to get negative y is greater than negative x plus 7. Then we got to divide everything by negative 1. So we're going to get y. I'm dividing by a negative in an inequality, so this is actually going to flip, is less than. This is going to be positive x, and this is going to be negative 7. So y is less than x minus 7. Then I'm going to graph the equation like I would a normal line. Okay, so you're going to graph the equation. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to use a less than or equal to. You're going to use a less than or greater than, dotted line. And then less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, solid line. Okay, so here I have x minus 7. So my y-intercept is negative 7. So there's negative 7. What's my slope here? 1. So I'm going to go up 1 over 1. Okay, and I make that dotted line. So this is dotted. And you'll have the option for dotted or solid on your homework. And then you're going to shade. Here's your guidelines for shading. Less than or equal to, you're going to shade under the line. Greater than or equal to, you're going to shade above the line. So there's no tricks to it. Less than, go under. Greater than, go above. So this is less than. So I'm going to go under the line. And if you want to check your work, you can pick a point. So let's say I pick this point right here. That's going to be the point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, negative 1. Plug it in and check it. So let's see. Negative 1 is less than 8 minus 7. So negative 1 is less than 1. That works. And that's all you do here. So these are fairly simple because you already know how to graph. It's just remembering dotted line or solid line and then above or below. So let's look at example, the number 7. So you have 2x plus 6y is greater than or equal to 12. I think you could probably graph this in intercept method if you wanted, but let's just keep it the same. So we're going to solve for y. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. We're going to get 6y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 12. Then we're going to divide everything by 6. These are going to cancel. I'm going to get y is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x plus 2. And then I'm going to graph that. So my y-intercept is positive 2. And then my slope is negative 1/3. So I'm going to go down 1 over 1, 2, 3. And then are we going to do a dotted or a solid line? Solid line. And then we're shading above the graph. And then on your homework, I think there's just like a little paint bucket, and you pick the paint bucket, and then you plot where you're putting it. There you go. And again, if you want to check, let's say you pick this point right here. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 times 0 plus 2. So 5 is greater than or equal to 2. It works. All right, next problem, x is greater than negative 8. Can't solve for y in that because there's no y. What kind of line is that? Straight line, vertical, yeah. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Vertical line, is this solid or dotted? Yep, I almost made a solid line. It's dotted. Now, with a vertical line like that, I can't really do above or below. What do you suppose I do for x is greater than negative 8? Right or left? What is this one? To the right, greater than, to the right. So just in the same direction. And then y is less than or equal to 5. What kind of line is this? Solid line, horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 on the y-axis. Solid line going through. Below. Good. Now look at that. That's all of it. So I just wanted to show you how to do it on your homework. Let me go through it. So here's one of the problems. And then just to execute the problem, so it's already solved for y. So first you're going to pick solid or dotted. So this is solid. You're going to click on that, and then you graph it like you would normal. So here's y-intercept of 2, slope of 1 over 1. And then I'm not doing anything with my mouse, it's just, or I'm moving my mouse, and then once I click either above or below, it'll solidify that. So this is greater than, so above the line. And that's it.